Hello again everyone, and welcome to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. You're looking at my Necchi Supernova Ultra Mark II, yes, from 1959 or so. I'm going to give or take there. So I am getting this machine ready. She's almost ready to do some test stitching with, and but I wanted to show you guys what I ended up doing. I was talking about the plug earlier and why I ordered a new plug. Now, what you're looking at here is this is the new plug, right? And it's designed for this series of Necchi Supernovas that have this sort of interesting shape to them, kidney shape. And this is the original. Now, this machine came with its original foot pedal, and it came with its original cord. And I mentioned to you guys that I inspected the cord. I didn't see any cracks, didn't see any damage, and I went again. I did the finger thumb test and I did the light test. I held it up into the light, and I honestly could not see any hairline cracks that might form, because I've shown you guys before, cords have a lifespan just like bobbin tires, and eventually they can get really brittle and old and not function, but this one seemed to be fine. I believe this is the original cord. And why do I say that? Well, you can look at the wall plug style, which is very old. You can see the brass on the prongs there. And right across here it says made, let's see if I can get the lighting right here so I can read it. It says made in USA. Well, a lot of the machines that would come from Japan and European countries during the 50s, they would have the electricals produced in the US because it was cheaper for them, because the North American standards for electricity are different than they are in Europe. And so they would have shipped the whole head, the whole machine over. And then I believe this particular motor, I'll have to go back and check. Some of the Necchi motors were made in the US and some were made in Italy. But you can see this clearly, the cord would have come, and it's about the right era. Could it be a replacement? Maybe, but I highly doubt it. I'm pretty sure this is the original. But again, why did it not work? And how do I know it didn't work? Well, this cord was attached to the foot pedal. And when I went to use it, I would turn it on, light would come on, the machine would run fine, but the light would dim. And I thought, well, maybe I have a light bulb problem. There can be many causes of the light dimming when it should not. And do not assume this is the only cause. This is one, and it's a fairly easy one to check, okay? So, I do not know. I've never opened up one of these. This is a rubber housing. There's no cords, excuse me, there's no screws or bolts that I can undo to get inside here. But I don't remember if I found online somewhere. I don't know if there's a kind of fuse in here or not. There may not be. But I think I have an idea why this was the cause and why the new plug has solved the problem. One of the great things about sewing machines that are in carry cases, as long as they're not stored in bad places like attics, is that not only do the machines seem to come off with less dirt and grime on average, but a lot of times their cords will be less dry rotted. They can still be dry rotted. You must check every cord. So don't misinterpret that, but I've noticed that they seem to hold up a little bit better. Necchi cords don't always. Some of the earlier Necchi cords particularly get very brittle, so you have to be careful. But with this one, I want to show you guys, I'm going to be installing the new cord, and it goes in just like the old one did, and I've got the new cord attached to the original, this wonderful Necchi foot pedal. It's a carbon pile type, just like a lot of the Singers, beautifully made. Anyway, when you go to plug in your cord into your machine, if I go back, way back, you guys can see where the prongs are, where this is going to be plugged in. Let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll explain to you why I believe this is an issue. And by the way, this is a new plug, and it might be a little tight. That will loosen eventually. So you get it lined up. It only lines up one way. You push in. You got to push in. I'm holding the machine, pulling the machine toward me as I push with this plug. Now, notice what happens when I set the machine back down in its proper place, the cord's plugged in, notice that the cord has to bend 90 degrees. Right here. You can see it coming out. It's bending 90 degrees and then it comes out and you plug it in and you sew away. Almost every sewing machine in a carry case does this. There are some exceptions. So it is not unusual for this, and there's nothing wrong with it. But remember, the old cord, which I'm holding in my hand here, it had to make that same 90-degree turn since 1959. Now, you know, you would expect, oh, well, let's look for failure. Do you see any cracks? No, I don't. I don't see any cracks, not even a hairline crack. I'm not noticing any damage. But a cord can get damaged on the inside, okay? And it can sometimes be damaged in a way you cannot see. If the cord looks good and you've inspected it fully, try it and see how it works. And, you know, as many times as not, you'll be fine. But when you have a 60-some-year-old electrical cord, even though it looks good, I thought, well, you know, I inspected all the mechanical parts that help the motor run, and they look great. So why was I getting that? So I'm going to plug it in. And by the way, here is the new cord and the new plug. You can see it looks different. It's not brass. They don't use brass because they basically cheapen out. You know, brass would cost a little bit more money. So here's the original, okay? And this one has, you can see it's set up to go into the plug one way, but the main point here is this is a brand new plug, okay? And so we'll plug her in, and I will show you how pleased I was when I discovered that this was the reason our gorgeous pink machine was not running very well. So we'll turn our little things off there for a moment. And here is the original foot pedal, this beautiful Bakelite pedal, says Necchi on it. It's button style. It's really modeled after the Singer pedal, and it uses carbon pile. It's in wonderful condition. Now, when I turn this on, you see that the light comes on with the light switch, yes. And what happens is you need that switch on in order to sew, okay? So, and I've got the presser foot up here. We're just demonstrating the machine actually moving. So I'll do a little bit here and you'll see it. It's in zigzag mode, hopping along beautifully like a well-oiled Necchi should. We'll pull the needle position to center. Now, if I come over to the right, okay, let me back up here, you guys can see. Now I've gone to maximum. Now maximum is, a lot of this has to do with the RPMs of the motor. And this is a fairly subtle difference here, but I want you guys to see it because when you are trying to sew, right, and it's come down here and, right, and so there's a control on the RPMs, but that's not the main point. Notice in either high or low, most people are simply going to use maximum. Maximum is basically, you know, that's what most sewing machines simply run in. You don't really need to use minimum unless you want to. I simply use the max. Okay, what's the point of this video? Look at the light, guys. When I touch the foot pedal, okay, I can do it slow or I can do it really fast. But the light stays true. It is a constant light, and it's a vintage sewing machine light. It doesn't put off tons of light. Personally, I like the LED lights that you can attach to your table and really get some light on your work surface. But that's neither here nor there. My point is, originally with the old plug, whenever you would start hitting the speed pedal, whether it was slow or fast, the light would dim. And what was happening was the old plug just was not working. It was not bringing enough of the current, or it was interfering with some of that current, and it was limiting the bulb. Okay, so if your bulb is out, if you have a burned out light bulb, that can be repaired and replaced. But again, this is one of those situations where you know, at first glance you think, well, it couldn't be the cord, could it? Or the plug, they look good. They're older, but hey, you know, they used to make things good back then. Well, cords have a lifespan. And you guys, if you're like me and you've seen old sewing machines, you've seen some really old rickety cords before and you have to replace them, right? But this one was one of those that at first glance looked fine. So what did I have to do? I had to get another cord, which you guys saw. I showed you guys where I ordered it from Central Michigan Sewing. I have no connection to those folks, but they were one of the few places I found this cord online. And I paid, what did I pay for this thing? $19.50, 60 cents. Point being, for $19, I now have a wonderfully working Necchi again. And it was not, in this case, it wasn't rocket science. It was just a cord. It looked healthy, but it was tired. And because it had been basically in a 90-degree turn all its life. So again, this doesn't happen often, but if you're scratching your head going, gosh, I've checked everything and it's not working, try a new cord or a new foot pedal. This foot pedal works beautifully, but you just never know. And so now, because this cord is available, not this one, the one made in USA, the new one is made somewhere else. I don't know if it was made overseas. It's unlikely it was made in the US, but it works fine. It's a generic cord. You don't necessarily go to Necchi to find it. But once you get one of these reproduction cords, even if they come from overseas, they're normally fine if you get it from a good supplier. And now this amazing machine has new life, right? It's ready to go because it's not worn out. In fact, I suspect this machine didn't get much use. But even if it sat for 40 years, cords, they're not inert materials. They break down over time. So I just wanted you guys to see this, an unusual situation where, hey, what are we going to do with this gorgeous Necchi? And it was just, they did a new cord. So it was a simpler replacement or simpler solution than I had originally thought. So sometimes you just never know, guys. But thanks for watching, and I will make a video. We're gonna do a video of threading this machine, and then we'll show it off, show what it can do. And I appreciate you all watching. Take care.